Two guys of Minnesota sports flowing in their veins. Mackey and Judd on Score North and ScoreNorth.com.
Well, that's the positive, right? We have a split here, and we are going home, so that's the positive. Obviously, we talked a lot about this game, and we didn't do what what we talked about as a group. We have to obviously talk about it again and not make the same mistakes that we made here tonight.
I like that Dean is taking the positives. They wind up splitting in Dallas. They've taken home ice advantage away from the Dallas Stars, okay? And they get to rest the Gus bus. Now the Gus bus will be fresh going back home to the XL Energy Center. I love that Dino is taking a positive glass half full approach, and I have no doubt that Judd will do the same here. That you look at the big picture and see that this series is tied after 2 games in Dallas. Really excited for your positive forward spinning takes here on Minnesota Sports with Mackey and Judd today.
Before we get to that pie chart, can we do, and Dex and I examined this and talked about it, and I think we are in lockstep here on the post-game Judd's Hockey Show Wild Vent Line last night, at which, by the way, late at night, the callers, I guess, were fantastic, like absolutely great. They covered all the points. But Phil, I would like to, so I feel like our Before I Die mantra about the Vikings is like taken off. It's spot on, okay? I would like to dig down a little bit more on playoffs involving teams in the state, okay?
Okay.
And I would like Score North to now start sort of an offshoot of Before I Die, which is this. Can we quit passive aggressively being happy with, well, they got 1 game. I mean, they're coming back 1-1. Ain't that great? Do you think real title towns try to find let's find what's happy about this. You went in. Now, last night, and Dex, I think that we agree on this too. If you went in last night and lost 4-3 in OT, and it was a hell of a game, and you played your nuts off, then I'm going to say, okay, you lost, but it's a great game. When you go in and decline the game, when you lose 7-3, when you make the goaltending change, I feel like part of our problem is acceptance of that's good enough.
Okay, what if it was, maybe it's this simple? Because you do get this way sometimes. And the playoffs happen, and it is a roller coaster. But
Yep.
Dallas is a better team record wise, points wise. Dallas was favored. Dallas has home ice. It is a split going back to Minnesota. Okay, they're going to lose playoff games. But if I were to meet you in the middle here and say, what if it was correctly the Gus bus starting game 2? Because I agree on that, and we will get to that. We'll get to your pie chart of blame. If it was Gustafsson that started game 2 and they lost a 4-3 sort of normal back and forth game, would you feel differently than what happened last night? Fleury coming in and giving up 7 goals and 31 shots.
100%.
Yep.
Okay.
Dex?
Yep, 100%. That was a self-sabotage. I'm excited for Judd's pie chart, but yeah, that was complete self-sabotage by a local Minnesota sports team.
Okay.
I want us to stop being accepting of that was good enough. This is the playoffs. This is a grind. Championships aren't won by acceptance. They're won by taking the damn game by its neck and trying to win it as hard as you possibly can.
Well, Fleury did try to get out there and make some saves. Poke a puck away. He's being aggressive.
I'm just tired of it. I'm tired of, well, the Vikings won 13 games. Yeah, then they got bounced in the first round by the Giants at home. Shouldn't have happened. I'm tired of the 2019 Vikings went into New Orleans, and what a great game. They got their ass handed to them by San Francisco. It was an embarrassment the next game, okay? It's one thing if you lose a classic. If you lose old school, this game's going to be on ESPN Classic tomorrow. Man, it hurt to lose, but God, did they give it their all.
Does that channel still exist?
No,
I don't know. It's gone.
I love that channel when they
love
launched it.
ESPN Classic.
I agree completely.
And actually, it's kind of like the people that say they love Conan. Oh, I love Conan. But then you haven't watched Conan in like 7 years. And that's why Conan no longer has late night shows. ESPN Classic was the same. Oh, I love ESPN Classic. I'll just watch old school games. Like, no one watches old school games.
Actually, they do. Do you know what killed it? We're on it right now. YouTube.
Oh, because you can just find games whenever you want.
Yep.
To. Yeah.
Killed it.
Okay.
But
Yeah, you're right. People do go search for old school games. You'll see 1 million views on.
You do.
I do.
Right?
Late at night, sometimes I'll pour a cocktail and watch a
How are you
1977
coming to bed?
Bud
I'm feeling
Grant.
frisky. Not now. I'm watching the 82 Vikings.
Vikings are inside the red zone.
You go to sleep.
Now on
All
Mackey
right.
and Judd,
This chart makes it as clear as I can to you.
the pie chart of blame.
You want to blame somebody?
All right, Judd's pie chart of blame off of a Game 2 loss, which they fought back for a minute and then they wind up getting blown out against Dallas, is presented by our friends at EcoFun. Electric bikes are back in stock and on sale for spring. Save up to $400 on new electric bikes. Stop in, take one for a demo ride in the EcoFun parking lot. See which one fits you best. Also, scooter season. It's always scooter season for the Mackeys. All colors and sizes of scooters are in stock for the spring sale. Beat the man at the pump this summer with a scooter that averages 100 to 120 miles per gallon. Think about that compared to you. You can either drive a clunky SUV around or you can drive a scooter efficiently around your neighborhood or around the Twin Cities, okay? No interest financing on all scooters for up to 1 year as well. EcoFun, our new friends at EcoFun here on Score North, okay?
The Rock knows how you feel about pie.
The knife is in your hands here, Judd. Pie chart of blame.
And I'm going to use it. There's 5 slices of pie here, but there is a great disparity in how obviously they're going to be doled out. So I will start at the bottom. I'm giving 3 5% slices just because they're deserved. The first slice, 5%, goes to the captain of the team, Jared Spurgeon, who last night, in a game in which Dallas capitalized on power plays, Jared Spurgeon managed to be a -3. Now, plus minus, which is a telling but not completely telling stat, is only based on even strength goals if you're on the ice for or shorties. So if there's a power play goal scored against you, you don't get a minus because obviously you go into that predicament at a disadvantage. But you're the captain of the team. You are in a position where, again, in my opinion, just showing up for game 2 and taking her home 1-1 is not your goal. It's not your mission. Your mission is to go in and play a game that is just as hard as game 1. I don't care you're tired. Well, first of all, you had a day off. Second of all, it's the playoffs. You're going to be tired the entire time. So if you're not prepared to be tired the entire time and make sacrifices, you are going to lose. Jared Spurgeon gets 5%. He's the captain. He had a bad game. He can't have bad games in the playoffs. I'm so tired of this. Well, they're going to have bad games. Okay, yeah, marginal players are, but your star players, your best players, there's no room for like, oh, the occasional bad playoff game.
I feel like Spurgey has a little,
Spurgeon.
he came in, 8, 9, 10 years ago with sort of the
Great
fun
story.
bunch, the Wild's fun bunch.
Not a great
I
playoff
feel
guy
like it's
sometimes.
almost too late for him. He's been mired in just playoff mediocrity and weird culture. He was part of that Suter Parisi culture as a young player. So I don't know if I trust Spurgey to be the guy that rises up above all this. I would trust like Faber does not have any connections to the old playoff failure era, for instance.
Yeah, he's certainly, I don't think, certainly not a bad apple like the other guys.
No, I'm not
in
calling
front
him a
of
bad apple. I just,
For sure, but he was around, the bad apples, and I'm just assuming that, food next to other rotting food does tend to rot a little bit, even though it's different types of food. So I would like to see him play a little bit better, but yeah, I'm fine with the bite of pie that Judd
like
has.
grapes, oranges. Like you get a bad one in the patch, and all of a sudden you're throwing 3 of them away.
Let's also not forget, in the infamous clip from a year and a half ago, when Bill Guerin went into that room and said, "What's this all about, boys? What's this all about?" And Spurgey perked up and said, "Hard work and having fun." And Billy said, "Bleep you, shut up. Don't ever say that again. It's about winning." And now Declan and I thought, oh, it's just Spurgey, poking the GM, right? And Judd, you had heard that it was the serious answer from Spurgey, the hard work and having fun.
Yeah.
The best part of that clip is Victor Rask in the background, eyes wide, like, what is happening?
Oh, he knew he was gone. Because he's
Listen,
You guys know what this is all about, right? Right? What's it all about? Spurgie?
Hard work and having fun.
That. This is about winning.
Rasky knew.
Rasky,
One-way ticket to the Kraken right there, baby, back then.
All right, so
The Rock knows how you
5%
feel about pie.
to hard work and having fun.
Yep. 5% to the superstar of this team, Kirill Kaprizov,
Wow.
who set the tone for this game on the power play with an irresponsible, you can do it in January, but you better damn not do it in the springtime, pass that Rupe Hintz then took in for a breakaway goal, which was an awful fundamental play by Kaprizov. I think the cross-check he got from Ryan Suter in front of the net in game one hurt him. He seems a little bit off, but that play was all about being careless with the puck, trying to make a play that he knows that he can make in the regular season. The playoffs are not the regular season. He gets 5%. You set the tone, and the tone's crap, you get blamed. Kirill Kaprizov, I love him. Great player. Fun to watch. You're getting a slice of the pie.
Yeah, that's right. This is a show that's not afraid to put some blame. These are big boys. They can handle it. You're making a bunch of money. You are a figurehead of a franchise. You can sometimes, I think in Minnesota, we just get, we don't want to criticize players. They might leave us. Oh my God, if you give 5% of a pie chart, Kaprizov's going to want to leave. He's going to demand a trade. No, he's a big boy. No,
It's fine.
it's okay.
That whole first shift that Judd's talking about in that power play, it was kind of a compound of Zuccarello, who turned over the puck. Then it was Kaprizov, who turned over the puck at the blue line again. And then Johansson not picking up his man, and the Stars score 1-0, bang, bang on a shorty. Rough go.
The Rock knows how you feel about pie.
Last 5% chunk. I would like this to be more, but like a teacher who has to discipline the class, there are two people who deserve what they're going to get, so it can't be more. But I am disgusted by this player right now. Matt Zuccarello. Matt Zuccarello, as Declan said, on the play that we're talking about with Kaprizov, I believe he had the first turnover on that play. He again was I think he had an assist, and I don't give a damn. He again was a non-factor, and I told Dex last night on Judd's hockey show, Matt seems like he just thinks he has the right to play with Kirill because they're buddies. I've always played with my best buddy. Matt Zuccarello deserves a demotion like nobody I've seen of late. And they don't do it, and they won't, and we'll get to that. But, and I saw his post-game quote was, "We all played poorly, but we're going home 1-1. All right. In every way, shape, and form, that disgusts me. Number one, dump on yourself here, Mats. You've been terrible. You've been absolutely, and this is not new. Like, he's been bad for a long, extended period here. He's not scoring. He's not playing well. His irresponsibility with the puck is off the charts because he thinks that he can make these great passes. The problem with him is the whole Zuccarello and Kaprizov chemistry thing has gone to his head. He's making dumb passes, dumb plays, and there is zero accountability. He gets 5%. I would love to give him 20, but I can't.
Okay.
Gustav Nyquist needs to take his spot in the top line. Nyquist has been their best forward in 2 games, in my opinion, throughout this playoff series. Yeah. Put him with Kirill. He deserves it.
The Rock
Makes
knows
a simple
how
play,
you feel about
a simple
pie.
pass.
So you told us this is a 5-slice pie here, and we
There's
still
only
have
2 left.
85% to
Yeah,
go.
well, we're just going to go where it deserves to go.
Yeah.
That's what I said. I'm with Mats deserves to be sent home from school, but his classmates are so egregious that I couldn't do it. I just gave him detention. All right. The next chunk we can debate. It might be surprisingly low, and it's deserved. But again, I had to withhold the biggest slice for the guy that really deserves to have the pie shoved in his face. So I give 15%, only 15, Marc-Andre Fleury.
Wow.
Who, all right, you can absolve him. You can say whatever the hell you want. And yes, the Wild played poorly. But the fact is, as Fleury correctly diagnosed, I didn't make one save tonight when my team needed me to make a save. And that is the most important thing in playoff hockey. If we're going to go through the goals and say, this was on this guy, and that was a breakaway, and that was, you
That's
know
what people are doing, kind of, right?
Yeah,
it's like,
and
well,
they're-
if you kind of go goal by goal, you could place blame everywhere else.
And that's
okay.
an awesome conversation on November 29th. It's in the playoffs. It's a non-starter. If you're saying that, you are basically greasing the skids for an exit. That's what you're doing. The playoffs are not about, well, let's absolve him and let's absolve. You know, Phil, back to your point, and again, this is where I think Score North can help. Your point is valid, which is we are looking to absolve. That's how you lose playoff games. Well, I mean, come on. What did you know what? Kirk had a great game against the Giants. Well, he sort of threw a check down on 4th and 8. Yeah, but look at the rest of the game. We are so anxious. You know, Cat's been really, really bad in what now? 8 of 16 playoff games? Yeah, but the other 8 games, I mean, unbelievable. We are always looking for the excuse of the why it happened. And I'm going to tell you, in the postseason, that is a loser's lament, complete loser's lament. I say that with 100% certainty.
Yeah, it is, by the way, the second time he has played 168 playoff games in his illustrious Hall of Fame career. It's the second time he's given up 7 goals in a game. The other one, there was a nightmare stretch for him like 10 years ago.
Yes.
yeah.
There was a series against Philadelphia. He actually gave up 6 and 7 goals in back-to-back games, back-to-back losses to the Flyers. I think they went on to lose that series. But, yeah, so it's been a while. But, yeah, 2012, April 13th, 2012 was the only other time he's given up 7 goals in a playoff game.
Yep.
Yeah, for as decorated as he is, he's had certainly some playoff clunkers. I mean, he's lost his job twice in Stanley Cup runs with Pittsburgh. But, well,
Isn't that weird?
Yeah, well, it's very weird.
It's a little. Kurt Warner didn't have the longevity of Marc-Andre Fleury, but there's a little Kurt Warner in there where at his peak, he's one of the greatest of all time, but then he also gets benched.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm trying to I mean, like, Peyton Manning had some terrible playoff games. I don't think Marc-Andre Fleury is on the same level as Peyton Manning in terms of legacy and respect and whatnot, but I mean, he's, what, 3rd all-time in wins,
Not
2nd
far
all-time
off.
in but it's close.
And
Close.
he's 38 now, too. Like, you know, in 2012, I think it was startling. In 2023, I think it's like, you might want to look at what's going on here. And Phil, I told Dex this. Getting the opportunity to watch Marc-Andre Fleury and cover him is a privilege. Like, it's awesome. But that being said, you also have to know, you know what? It's decision time. It's just decision time.
Yeah,
And-
are you more loyal to
Exactly.
a player or are you loyal to the quest?
Exactly.
That's what Dean and we're probably going to get there here. That's what Dean and Billy Guerin, the decision makers here, have to figure out.
So 15% to the Flower, 5% to
The Rock knows how
Zuccarello,
you feel about pie.
5% to Kaprizov, 5% to Spurgeon, and then we've got this guy. Let's hear from him.
To go with Flower tonight after Gus had 51 saves last game.
It's what we do, right? We've done it all year. It's the game. There's nothing was on Flower tonight. It was all on us.
Wow, it's what we do.
Yeah, and Russo, so that question was essentially, you know, hey, Gustafsson stopped 51 shots. Hey, why did
Okay.
Marc-Andre Fleury start? And that's the response he got. And that is why this morning I got a blueberry pie here. Dean Evason, you step right up because I'm going to shove 70% of this in your face. You don't get a slice. You get the whole thing, 70% in your face because you deserve a pie in the face. Now, to be clear, I've heard some rumblings, and I mean, I'm sure this is part of the case, that Bill Guerin either signed off or had a lot to do with this decision. So Billy probably deserves some of that 70% too. But let's go through, I got the checklist here. Let's go through the Dean checklist from last night, okay? So this is game 2. You won game 1. That's awesome. And I do believe that Dallas is the more skilled team, but the reality is you played a game 1 that was fantastic, showed us everything that you have to do to win, and you are not a team that doesn't have skill. Now, you're without Eck. you're without Hartman, but everybody is hurt in the playoffs. Like you can't go down short of Wayne Gretzky in his prime being hurt. You can't go down the rabbit hole of, well, they didn't have this guy and that guy, because every team doesn't have guys, okay? And Ryan Hartman, God bless him, scored the game-winning goal in double OT, but he's not a great player. He's a hard worker, but he ain't a great player. So, like, you didn't lose your the heartbeat. Here's the checklist, you guys, that I came up with this morning, and it's probably incomplete on Dean. First of all, Gustafsson, 24, day off. Jake Ottinger started both games. You decided to go with a 38-year-old in goal with a young man who's as calm as can be sitting on your bench, who played great. And Brian Boucher on the ESPN2 telecast, which I watched last night, tried to say, well, I think this was a smart move because without some of their key players, it shielded Gustafsson from this game where he might have got lit up himself as if he was going to give up 7 goals. And that this, allows him now to come back in game 3 with his confidence fully intact.
That's some mental gymnastics right there.
Exactly. And if anyone thought that way, really, you're an idiot. Like, that is, so you are trying to explain to me that Philip Gustafsson, who is as cool, calm, and collected, and has proven it throughout almost the entire season, is going to fold? Oh my God, I had one bad game, that's it. Then you got to get out of the playoffs, which I don't believe, okay? Mm-hmm. The second thing is, and this is what happened, this is now we're seeing what happened again with Craig Berube and the Blues last year. We saw it last night, which is Dallas came out in game 1, got beat, and made adjustments. Because that's what coaches do in the playoffs. In the regular season, we can debate coaching. In the playoffs, you really can't. And Dallas made adjustments. And the Wild didn't. Again, they didn't make adjustments. They switched goaltenders, but a caller on Ventline last night had great points about things that he saw Dallas did differently with their defensemen and trying to force things. And Minnesota, as far as I could tell, never even countered that. Like in-game adjustments, and that's not on Bill, because Bill's not coaching this team, okay? In-game adjustments in the playoffs are absolutely vital. The third thing, flat out, your team was not ready. Your team was not ready. Kirill Kaprizov makes a stupid play on a power play. So this is not a penalty kill. He makes a stupid play on a power play, turns into a breakaway goal. You get within a goal, you damn near tie it in the second period. So you're down 4-1. Now it's 4-2 on a power play. Now it's 4-3. You're right back. Jake Ottinger's not playing great. And Dallas is a very skilled team, but they're not a great team. You have a chance to tie it. Instead, you give up 2 more quick goals. And I said going into the third period, you're down by 3. I said, put Gustafsson in, juggle your lines again, and try and get a spark here. Because I think if you make it 6-4, they start to tighten up. Instead, you played the third period basically like you were declining it. Oh, good, we're going home.
I think if this is the problem for Dean, and I agree with what you're saying here, if you pull Marc-Andre Fleury, you're essentially admitting that you were wrong, which is hard for egotistical coaches and general managers, and B, you're probably at that point sticking a fork in Fleury for the rest of the series, which I think we agree should happen and should have happened after game 1. But I don't, for whatever reason, Dean isn't there yet with Fleury. He's just not there yet.
So I don't disagree with what you just said, but let me spin it this way. I think what you do is you go in between periods because you've pulled within 4-3 and now you're down 6-3. I think that you say we're making a goaltending change, and you look around the room and you say largely based on how every one of you has played. You have embarrassed one of the great goaltenders of all time. And you know what? Now we have to pull him. What are you going to do about that? Wow, what are you going to do?
It's like a Herb Brooks speech in a game 2 of the first round.
You got a chance to come back. And dude, again.
A bruise on the thigh is a long way from the heart.
That's how this works. But I mean, I could spin this into we're going to have to lift Fleury, not because of him. At that point, that's fine. Internally absolve him. I don't care. But you know what? We're going to have to lift him because every one of you guys was not prepared to do what you had to do. So you go out there in 20 minutes and you show me that first 2 periods is not reflective of who you are.
I think the thing that was the most triggering for me in the 15-second quote you just played from Dean Evason a few minutes ago, when he said, it's what we do. Yeah. Mike Russo asked him, hey, 51 saves, and also I think loaded behind that question was, you guys just played 82 games. It was very clear and obvious who the better goalie was over the course. It wasn't just like, oh, in the last couple weeks he's been better. He's just been definitively better for the entire season. And for his answer to be, it's what we do. Okay, there's what you do in the regular season in all sports. You do in the NBA. There's load management in the regular season. In Major League Baseball, you might manage a starter's innings, right? The Twins do this in the postseason, which drives us nuts. But yeah, we're going to pull our starter after the 6th inning because it's a long haul here this season.
Right.
In the NFL, maybe a guy won't play on a certain bone bruise or something. There's all sorts of things you do in the regular season to prepare for the long haul. And alternating goalies is one of those things. You don't want to run a goalie out there for 77 games and now he's just tanked at the end of the season, right? So I get the alternating of goalies throughout the season. It worked fine. You're not playing back-to-backs. You got 48 hours rest. It's what we do. Okay, there's what you do in the regular season, and then there's what you do in the postseason. Do you think the Clippers are going to rest Kawhi Leonard? Oh, it's Game 3, load management game.
That's what we do.
Kawhi's going to sit. Kevin Durant's going to sit in Game 4 because it's what we do.
Yep.
It's just what we do. Well, it's what you do in October. It's what you do in January, what you do in February. It's not what you do when the playoffs hit. So that really triggered me, and it kind of pisses me off, even though I was watching the Wolves last night. But and I'll answer this question on behalf of the room here. You could push back if you're Dean and say, well, Gustafson's not used to playing on 48 hours rest. You may think that's rest, but he's basically only done that once in the last 2 months. He played back-to-back games with 1 day between a couple weeks ago. So he's not used to it. And I would say, well, what happened in that second game? He gave up 2 goals. You won 4-2. And then if you go back to February, where he played twice in a 72-hour stretch against Calgary. He had a shutout into the shootout period. He literally didn't allow a goal in an hour of regulation time. Yep. And then he had 3 games in a row, February 17th, 19th, 23th. He's played 3 games in 4 days. Oh, my God. He must be exhausted, right? He gave up 1 goal, 3 goals, and 1 goal, all 3 victories. What are we protecting him from? He's the better goalie. He's 24. Play him. Well, this isn't hard.
No, and they're not protecting him like that. That's an easy storyline, but it's BS. There is a blind sense of loyalty here to, Flower has to start because that's what we've done. And that is nails on a chalkboard. I hate that. In a workplace, in sports, that's how we do things. That's how you lose.
Yeah. Well, at least there's one winner in town. The Minnesota Twins last night, another victory are they still in first place? I think they're still in first place. They definitely have the best strikeout pitching staff in all of baseball, and tickets are available. They're coming back home after their East Coast swing. Twins.com/tickets. It's your first chance maybe to see the new uniforms if you haven't been to a game yet, to see this flame-throwing, lights-out pitching staff, and to see guys like Joey Gallo hitting bombs all over downtown Minneapolis. Twins.com/tickets. So there's the pie chart of blame.
The Rock knows how you feel about pie.
70% to Dino, 15% to the Flower, and then 5% each to Zuccarello, over to Kaprizov, back to Spurgeon. 5 slices of pie.
Game and a half up on Cleveland.
Okay, first place Twins.
First place.
Let's get it. You can find the full recap from last night, Judd's hockey show, and also Flagrant Howls to discuss the Timberwolves loss, but Anthony Edwards breaking out. A busy day here the last 24 hours on Score North, the Score North YouTube channel, the Purple Daily YouTube channel. Please click subscribe and the like button to help us spread the word about this awesome Minnesota sports community that you guys are helping us build. And we'll see you over on Purple Daily for some quarterback speculation.